So she is the legendary Madame Zavas. Let me introduce myself properly, ma'am.
Mr. Santino, I know who you are. And I also know your partner. The legend of the chicken police is always one step ahead of the chicken police.
Thank you. That's flattering.
May I ask what you are looking for exactly? Here on this night?
You know, that's an interesting question. The card we've shown your lovely colleague
Belongs to an old friend of ours, whom we haven't seen for a long time here.
and the name.
Unfortunately, no, Mr. Santino. That's confidential information. In my line of work, discretion is everything.
Well, you know, in our line of work, the law is above everything.
Oh, do you think so? I could tell you what your colleagues think is also above everything, but as I said, discretion.
Look, ma'am, we don't want to impose. We're conducting a private investigation, which started off as harmless, but now it's murder.
That sounds serious.
It is serious. That's why we'd be grateful for your help.
In that case, I'm at your service. Ask your questions, and I'm going to answer to the best of my knowledge. As long as you're not wading through muddy waters.
Fortunately, I swim very well for a chicken.
I swim well, too. As I was saying, it belongs to us. Only our most valuable guests have one of these. And our employees, of course.
The employees, too. Good to know. Can you tell me if this card belonged to a guest or an employee?
No.
I thought so. Yes, thank you. Louis Hayworth is a good friend of mine. It surprises me that he's a regular here.
You wouldn't believe our clientele. You would be shocked.
No doubt. Louis, does he come here often?
Not so often.
Thank you for the vague answer, ma'am.
The mystery is thrilling. The thrill is life itself.
That was beautiful, ma'am.
Tell me, have you ever seen this list?
I have.
Am I right to assume it has something to do with the sweltering Nile?
It does, yes. But I can't tell you more about it. No.
Discretion is key.
Absolutely.
Do you know Natasha Katsenko personally?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about her.
Warm-hearted, protective, quick-tempered, fierce. Yes, fierce.
Thank you. Very useful.
This place isn't just our home with the girls. It's a sanctuary.
Really? How?
It symbolizes why the city was founded almost 1,000 years ago. Unity, love, freedom.
Interbreeding?
That too, yes. Do you have a problem with that?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't. My girlfriend's a predator.
Really? I'm glad to hear it.
Deceit is everything to Zavas. She used to be a spy, so I'm gonna take her every word with a grain of salt. Who's behind the legend, Miss Zavas? Who are you, really?
Just an animal raised to survive, Mr. Featherland. And because I've been taught, I know how to survive. I always was what I had to be.
And you managed to dodge my question. Clever.
Well, you see, this is one of the typical elements of survival. The way of dodging a delicate question and still making the questioner believe he got the answer. But you're too cunning and experienced, aren't you? You're not an easy one to fool.
I'm trying to maintain appearances, ma'am.
You should. Appearances, most of the time, are stronger and more dangerous than the truth.
Tell me, were you really the king's spy?
If that's such an open secret, then I haven't been doing my job very well, isn't that right? Yes, I was a spy. But that's such a blunt way of putting it. I always say I used to undertake confidential, generally political assignments of a delicate nature for the king that were in the interests of national security.
Put that way, it sounds rather romantic.
Don't believe the cheap fiction, Mr. Featherland. Espionage is anything but romantic.
I believe you, madam.
If you must know, I only did it because I believed I could protect those that I serve. Weapons have only one use in this world: to keep the peace. Yes, I always thought about myself and my craft that way.
Thank you for your honesty, ma'am. Why did you decide to open a brothel?
You know, this place used to be an orphanage. Then after the Great Avian Plague, a hatchery. Then young mothers lived here who had nowhere else to go. That's when I took over.
Young mothers and prostitutes. That feels like a sharp turn.
No, it didn't happen like that, of course. The process took 20 years, but one thing remains the same. I wanted to help girls who had nothing and no one. To help them.
And this was the best you could do, helping them sell their bodies.
You see things very superficially, Mr. Featherland. We're a family who helped each other even at the worst of times, took care of each other, and what's most important, survived. Yes, survive, no matter the cost.
And it's the cherry on top of the most treasured secrets of the rich and famous.
Very insightful, Mr. Featherland. There's truth to that. Knowledge is power, as they say. And we know a lot about powerful animals that could be used as weapons. Or the opposite, that could avert a war.
If I guess who the card belongs to, will you tell me?
I wouldn't say that's an acceptable price for such a secret as this, but if you guess right, I won't lie to you. Then I will tell you you were right. Yes.
Good. Let's see. The answer to my question, Natasha Katsenko.
Well, Mr. Featherland, it seems the gossip about you is right. What gave it away?
It couldn't have been easier. There's a beautiful woman with a mysterious past, trying to keep it a secret, while someone's threatening her with the exact same thing, leaving rather unmistakable messages behind. Plus, we found the card on Deborah, who was her best friend and confidant, so she was either trying to hide it or destroy it forever, so no one could find out the truth. Am I right so far?
Indeed, Mr. Featherland.
So if I'm not mistaken, Natasha used to work for you before she met Ibn Wessler. He fell in love with her, gave her a job at the Millions Club. The rest is history.
You have talent, Mr. Featherland. I'm really sorry you're not working for the government.
I am working for the government. I'm a cop.
Are you sure, Mr. Featherland?
Touché.
Indeed. Natasha used to work here. We can put it that way, but you know, this isn't just a workplace. She also lived here. She was part of our family, and we still love her very much.
Right. That puts everything in a different light. Zavos is a true survivor, always was. And she's proud of that, even to this day. Maybe I can get her to trust me if I play to this part of her. You tried to protect her. From what?
Natasha came to me penniless, cold to the bone, and wounded. She was only 17 years old. Even if she were my enemy, I would have taken her in until she recovered. Yes, I'm like that. I was raised to be like that.
Haven't you seen any opportunities for profit? Or were you guided by pure animal goodness?
Is that so hard for you to believe?
I think that worldly women like you try to turn every position to their advantage. I hope I don't offend you.
On the contrary. But no. I didn't see any opportunities in a girl who could barely speak our language, who was starving and wounded and obviously running from something. In fact, I was taking unnecessary risks because of her.
You knew you were taking a risk, yet you still took her in. Why?
I don't know, Mr. Featherland. These things can't always be rationally explained. Not even when I've lived my whole life based on reason, on logic, almost every step calculated.
So Natasha came and turned your whole life upside down. She's like that, isn't she?
It's in her nature, yes. Poor thing can't help it. She's like a tornado. She usually takes everything with her.
That's quite an apt metaphor. But I have to agree.
Did she sweep you away, too?
I don't know yet, madam. I'm clinging firmly to the ground. Do you know where Natasha came from? Before Clawville?
Naturally. The poor dear couldn't even deny it. Even her name's eloquent, her accent, but mostly her manners, Mr. Featherland. She's from Stovos, and she belonged to the upper class of Stavonian social circles. She could barely even speak the language when I first met her.
That's all you know about her. An ex-spy like you must have checked up on her new protege's past.
That's the most exciting thing. Yes, I have. Multiple times putting my most treasured connections to good use. But nobody found anything. Natasha's trail could only be traced back to the Stavonian border. What happened in that country, no one knows.
It's rather curious, don't you think?
It is, Mr. Featherland. Yes, curious. That's why I've always been rather fond of Natasha.
Did it touch you deeply when she left you?
Indeed, it did.
Zavos is protective. It seems she's dedicating her whole life to her proteges. If I concentrate on that, maybe she'll open up to me. Didn't it occur to you that you could exploit Natasha and Ibn's relationship?
Me? How? And in what way could I have done that?
You were a famous spy, madam. It's easy to imagine you've conditioned Natasha to seduce Ibn Wessler and help you get close to his money and influence.
Look around you, Mr. Featherbrain. Do I look like someone who needs money and influence?
Power corrupts.
Yes. There's truth to that. Good point. But it's nothing like that for me. I love Natasha as my daughter. And I believe she too loves me as her mother. And I would never have used this.
Have you kept in touch?
Only occasionally, Mr. Featherland. She writes to me every few weeks, and very rarely we talk on the phone. But I haven't heard from her in weeks. The truth is, I've started to worry about her.
Did she give no sign of being in trouble?
Never. No. Natasha's not the kind to talk about her feelings.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself. When was the last time you saw her, Madame Zavas?
Maybe around 2 months ago. There was a ball, attended by Ibn Wessler, his beautiful mate Natasha, and myself. Yes.
Was she herself? Did you feel like she was afraid or worried about something?
On the contrary, she was unrestrained, free, radiant. She was in love. Yes, in her own unique way.
What do you mean?
You know Natasha loves on a different level than most Clawville women. Or most women in the wilderness, in fact. Maybe it's because of the Stovonian origins. Perhaps it's something else.
So you didn't notice anything strange about her?
Well, if anything could be called strange, it was that I saw a woman positively floating above the ground, who previously used to stand on it with 2 feet.
I see. Thank you, madam. How did you feel when you learned Natasha was going to leave?
Honestly, I was very hurt. I loved her as a daughter. How would you have felt?
I couldn't say.
And I still couldn't stop her, and you know why?
Of course I do. Because you loved her.
You've been in my shoes before, am I right, Detective? Yes, I can feel you have.
This isn't about me, madam. Please stop changing the subject.
I have felt betrayed on a certain level. Yes, and offended, and alone. Even amongst all my friends.
Were you disappointed in her?
Only in myself, Mr. Featherland. But I have a hunch you know this feeling very well.
Yes, you're right. Well, thank you for your time, madam.
Anytime, Detective. Yes, anytime. Please, gentlemen, wait here a moment. I would like to show you something that could help you.
Oh, that's excellent news. Thank you. We will wait.
Do you trust her?
Not in the slightest. Even her smile is fake. This woman wallowed in other animals' secrets until she became one too.
That's exactly how I feel.
Anyway, now that we're here, we can take a better look around.
Just what I was thinking.
These books are here for a reason. They mean something. These books are here for a reason. They mean something. These books are here for... Yes, this is the Zavas from the legends, beautiful and deadly. Beautiful pieces for sure. They must be worth a fortune.
A hidden door. Who'da thought?
She is a legendary ex-spy.
Well, this is something I've never understood. Why isn't a key good enough? I mean, you can take that with you, but riddles can be solved by anyone.
I don't think many animals get to be in this room, Marty. And the other thing is...
Maybe she wanted us to find it.
exactly what I'm thinking. Who knows? Anyway, we're going in.
This room is not like her at all.
The other must have been for show. Marty, this is the reality. We're talking about a professional spy.
A former spy.
Still, if anyone knows how to mask her real face, it's her.
But you think this is who she really is? Cold, dark, and tiny.
And full of secrets.